You want to know why your life feels stuck, why your dreams seem distant even though you're working hard. Look around you, not at your goals, not at your habits, but at your people. The truth is, who you surround yourself with will either build you or break you. The energy they carry seeps into you. Their fears, their doubts, their mediocrity, it all transfers. And before you know it, you start shrinking to fit into their comfort zone. But when you start choosing differently, when you surround yourself with people who challenge you, who speak life into you, who demand that you rise, your entire world begins to shift. Because you don't just grow alone, you grow through the company you keep. Energy is contagious. Choose your circle wisely. Every person around you carries a certain energy, a frequency that either elevates you or quietly drains you. Most people underestimate this truth. They think they can keep toxic people close and somehow stay unaffected. But energy doesn't ask for permission. It seeps in. Spend enough time with people who complain, who gossip, who blame the world for their failures, and you'll begin to speak, think, and act just like them. You won't even notice when it happens. It's silent, subtle, and slow. That's why guarding your circle is not about arrogance. It's about self-preservation. When you walk into a room filled with ambition, discipline, and drive, you feel it instantly. You stand taller. You speak with more intention. You start believing you can do more because their energy becomes a mirror reflecting your own potential. But when you stay around people who lack vision, who always have an excuse ready, your light begins to dim, not because you lost your strength, but because their energy blurred your clarity. So ask yourself, what kind of energy do you allow to sit beside you, to text you, to share your silence? The truth is, the people closest to you are shaping your future more than you realize. They influence your mindset in ways that books, courses, and speeches can't. If your circle celebrates growth, you'll grow. If your circle normalizes complaining, you'll stagnate. You don't rise by luck. You rise by alignment. You become the average of the voices you hear the most, and those voices will either echo strength or feed weakness. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your schedule. Start with your surroundings. It takes courage to walk away from people you've known for years, especially when you realize they no longer serve the person you're becoming. But remember, not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people belong in your story, not in your future. You don't need to hate them. You just need to release them. Protecting your energy doesn't make you cold-hearted. It makes you disciplined. You're not rejecting people. You're respecting your peace. Every great transformation begins with an inner shift, and that shift often comes after you clean your environment. Choose people who bring out the fire in you, who hold you accountable when you slip, who celebrate your wins without envy. Choose people who remind you that excellence is not an option, it's a standard, because energy multiplies. If you surround yourself with those who carry light, you will never walk in darkness. At the end of the day, your circle is your ecosystem. If it's healthy, you'll flourish. If it's toxic, you'll wither. So choose intentionally. Protect your space. Feed your energy with people who inspire you, push you, and believe in you, even on the days you struggle to believe in yourself. That's the true power of surrounding yourself with the right people. Your circle defines your ceiling. It's a truth most people refuse to face because it's uncomfortable, and uncomfortable truths are the ones that make us grow. If you're constantly surrounded by people who play small, who settle for mediocrity, or who don't believe in more than their immediate comfort, it doesn't matter how talented you are or how hungry for success you feel. Their limitations will become your boundaries. You will unconsciously match their expectations, their pace, their mindset. That's the invisible ceiling that most people never even notice until years have passed, and they wonder why they haven't reached the heights they dreamed of. Look closely at the people you spend your time with. Are they ambitious? Do they challenge themselves to be better every day, to learn, to grow? Or do they complain about the world, recycle excuses, and minimize their own potential? Because whether you like it or not, you will rise to the level of the people you choose to measure yourself against. You can't soar in an atmosphere filled with doubt, envy, and complacency. You can't achieve extraordinary results when ordinary thinking surrounds you. Your environment is either your ladder to greatness or the cage that keeps you grounded. It's not just about ambition, either. Your circle affects your confidence, your resilience, and even your creativity. People who believe in growth, who challenge your ideas without tearing you down, who hold you accountable without judgment, will expand your thinking. They will push you to take risks, to step into discomfort, and to stretch beyond what you thought was possible. On the other hand, if your friends, colleagues, or even family members constantly criticize, belittle, or discourage you, you start internalizing their limitations. What was once your potential begins to feel unattainable because the voices around you whisper that it is. And here's the part that stings. We often stay in circles that limit us because of comfort, history, or guilt. We cling to people because they've been part of our story, even when they're not aligned with our future. But growth demands courage. It demands that you step away from the familiar and embrace relationships that elevate you. Sometimes that means having difficult conversations, setting boundaries, or even walking away. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Because if you don't, the ceiling remains, invisible but unbreakable. The people you surround yourself with are the scaffolding for your dreams. Strong, motivated, and disciplined people lift you higher, challenge you, and show you what's possible. Weak, negative, or complacent people limit your vision, distract you, and keep you comfortable in mediocrity. If you want to break through your ceiling, you must evaluate your circle honestly. Ask yourself who is lifting you up and who is holding you back. Protect your space, nurture relationships that push you toward growth, and courageously remove the ones that don't. Because your circle doesn't just influence your life, it defines the highest point you can reach. When you start choosing differently, something remarkable happens. Your ideas become bigger, your goals become bolder, and your confidence grows naturally. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's limitations. Your ceiling expands, not because of luck or talent alone, but because you finally allowed yourself to be elevated by the right people. And that, more than anything else, is the difference between staying stuck and rising to your fullest potential. Your environment outweighs motivation in ways that most people fail to realize. You can wake up every morning with the best intentions, with fire in your heart, and still find yourself drained by the end of the day. Not because you lack discipline, but because your surroundings are quietly sabotaging your efforts. Motivation is fragile. It flickers and fades under the weight of negativity, distraction, and mediocrity. Your home, your workplace, the people you interact with, the media you consume, all of it is either fueling your purpose or diluting it. And the problem is, when motivation fades, habits weaken, and dreams stall, we often blame ourselves. We say, I wasn't disciplined enough, or I didn't try hard enough, when in reality, the environment we've chosen has been doing the heavy lifting for failure behind the scenes. Every day, you make choices that either protect or harm your energy. You decide who you spend your time with, what spaces you inhabit, and what voices you allow to echo in your mind. If your surroundings are filled with distraction, criticism, and complacency, no amount of inspiration in the morning will carry you through the day. Motivation without a supportive environment is like lighting a candle in a hurricane. It burns for a moment and then disappears. But when your environment is aligned with your ambitions, motivation doesn't have to work as hard. The right environment makes the path feel natural, not forced. It nurtures focus, courage, and persistence because everything around you is pushing you toward your best self, not away from it. Think about the people who seem unstoppable. You know the ones I mean, those who accomplish extraordinary things and somehow make it look effortless. The secret isn't just their drive, it's the ecosystem they've built around themselves. Their friends, mentors, and colleagues are aligned with growth. Their spaces are organized to reduce distraction. Even the books, podcasts, and media they consume are chosen with intention. They don't rely on fleeting motivation because they've crafted an environment that sustains it automatically. Contrast that with someone equally talented but surrounded by doubt, criticism, and chaos, and you'll see why environment matters more than raw willpower. Changing your environment takes awareness and courage. It requires looking honestly at what is draining you, who is draining you, and what habits are quietly holding you back. It may mean walking away from relationships, reconfiguring your home or workspace, or creating boundaries that protect your focus. It may mean spending more time with people who elevate you and less time with people who normalize stagnation. Every change you make strengthens your inner drive because motivation is no longer battling against external resistance. When you finally understand this, the concept of hard work itself changes. Work doesn't feel like a struggle when your environment is aligned with your goals. Inspiration becomes easier to sustain because your surroundings are constantly reinforcing it. You'll notice your energy lasts longer, your focus sharpens, and your ambition grows naturally. And that's the real power of environment over motivation. It's not temporary, it's sustainable. It doesn't rely on luck or rare bursts of willpower. It surrounds you, supports you, and carries you forward every day. Choosing your environment wisely isn't a luxury, it's the foundation for everything you hope to achieve. No one builds greatness alone, yet so many people try, thinking that success is a solitary pursuit. The truth is, even the most talented, disciplined, or visionary person cannot reach their highest potential without a team that amplifies their efforts. Success is not just about what you can do on your own. It's about the people who surround you, who complement your strengths, who challenge your weaknesses, and who hold you accountable when you falter. The lone wolf narrative is seductive, but it's a myth. Real achievement is always a collaboration, a network of minds, hearts, and energies working in alignment toward a shared vision. The challenge is that not everyone deserves a place on your team. Some people bring energy, creativity, and dedication, while others bring distraction, doubt, and limitation. Learning to discern the difference is one of the hardest skills you will ever master. It requires honesty, courage, and sometimes discomfort. You have to ask yourself, who genuinely adds value to my journey, and who is merely along for the ride? Who lifts me higher, and who weighs me down with their insecurities or negativity? Because when you let the wrong people in, your momentum slows, your focus wavers, and your potential remains locked behind invisible barriers. Building the right team also requires vulnerability. You have to trust others with parts of yourself, your ideas, your goals, even your fears. This is what makes collaboration powerful. When people know your vision and understand your intentions, they can offer insight you wouldn't have had on your own. They can point out blind spots, challenge assumptions, and push you to think bigger. At the same time, they demand excellence, not out of criticism, but out of belief in what you can achieve. The right team doesn't just agree with you. It challenges you to rise above your own limitations. Another key aspect of a successful team is shared values. Talent alone is not enough. You can have brilliant minds or skilled hands, but if the people around you don't share your integrity, your work ethic, or your commitment to growth, the team will fracture. Misalignment erodes trust, sows conflict, and slows progress. A great team operates like a well-oiled machine. Each member knows their role, respects the contributions of others, and keeps the collective vision at the forefront. When everyone is aligned, the energy is unstoppable, and the results reflect not just individual brilliance, but combined power. Finally, remember that being part of a team is not only about what others can do for you, but what you can give to them. Leadership, mentorship, and support are as crucial as receiving guidance or encouragement. A strong team thrives on mutual respect, shared accountability, and the willingness to invest in one another's growth. When you embrace this dynamic, success stops being a solitary climb and becomes a force multiplied by collaboration, trust, and alignment. That is why building the right team is one of the most strategic and transformative decisions you can make in your journey toward greatness. It's easy to assume that the people around us are always aligned with our growth. But the truth is, we rarely take the time to audit our circle with honesty and intention. Life gets busy, and relationships become habitual. We stop noticing which ones lift us up and which ones quietly hold us back. That's why auditing your circle regularly isn't just a suggestion. It's a necessity. Growth demands awareness. You have to ask yourself the hard questions. Who is truly feeding my ambition and pushing me toward my best self? Who is keeping me small, whether through criticism, distraction, or subtle negativity? The answers aren't always comfortable, but they are always necessary. When you take a close look, you'll realize that not all energy is equal. Some people encourage you with every fiber of their being. Their excitement for your success is genuine. They celebrate your wins, challenge you when you plateau, and hold you accountable without judgment. And then there are others, perhaps close friends, colleagues, or even family, who unintentionally, or sometimes intentionally, feed doubt. Their words might be small, but they accumulate over time, planting seeds of insecurity, hesitation, and fear. You may not notice the slow erosion of confidence at first, but eventually, it shows up in your results, your mindset, and your energy. That's why the audit is crucial. It's the difference between growth and stagnation. Auditing your circle is not about cutting people out in anger or arrogance. It's about clarity and intentionality. It's about recognizing who aligns with your vision and who doesn't, and then taking action to protect your energy and your focus. Sometimes action might mean limiting contact, creating boundaries, or having honest conversations about the influence someone has in your life. Other times, it might require a clean break from relationships that have become toxic or draining. These decisions are not easy because relationships carry history, emotion, and loyalty. But growth is never comfortable, and comfort is often the enemy of progress. The process of auditing your circle also reveals something deeper about yourself. It forces you to confront your own standards, your boundaries, and your willingness to prioritize your goals over approval or nostalgia. You'll discover which relationships are reciprocal and which are one-sided. You'll see where your time, energy, and attention are being invested wisely and where they are being wasted. This self-awareness becomes a tool, a skill you can refine over time to ensure that every person in your life serves a purpose, either to challenge, support, or inspire you. When you commit to this practice, something powerful happens. Your energy becomes sharper, your focus becomes clearer, and your progress accelerates. You no longer carry unnecessary weight, and the people who remain in your circle become allies in your growth rather than obstacles. Your environment transforms into a reflection of your ambitions, not a reflection of others' limitations. The regular audit of your circle is not just a strategy, it's a declaration. You are intentional about your life, your energy, and your future. And when you take that responsibility seriously, nothing and no one can quietly derail the trajectory you are determined to follow. Not everyone who claps for you wants to see you win. That's a truth most people avoid confronting because it's uncomfortable and, frankly, a little painful. We are quick to assume that outward praise equals genuine support, that someone celebrating our success is also rooting for our continued rise. But appearances can be deceiving. Some people will cheer loudly for the moments that are convenient, while quietly hoping you stumble when it matters most. They smile, they nod, they offer compliments, but beneath the surface, they are collecting evidence, measuring your growth against their insecurities, and waiting for a moment to reclaim the narrative of comparison or competition. The danger of these silent saboteurs is subtle. They don't always attack openly. In fact, their most potent influence is invisible. A small comment, a skeptical glance, a seemingly harmless suggestion can plant doubt in your mind. Over time, those doubts multiply. You begin questioning your decisions, second-guessing your instincts, and shrinking your ambition to fit the comfort of those around you. You wonder if you're too bold, too ambitious, too relentless, and all the while, the person who applauds in front of you is quietly measuring whether you will succeed or fail by standards you didn't even agree to. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your clarity. Learning to discern genuine supporters from silent saboteurs is an essential skill in both personal and professional life. Supporters will challenge you with honesty, not envy. They will tell you the truth when you are veering off course, not to hurt you, but to protect you from avoidable mistakes. They rejoice in your victories without diminishing their own identity or attempting to reclaim your spotlight. Saboteurs, on the other hand, mask their insecurity as concern. They couch criticism in advice, celebrate selectively, and are quick to highlight your missteps while minimizing your achievements. The subtlety is what makes them dangerous. If you're not paying attention, their influence seeps into your confidence without warning. Protecting yourself from these hidden forces requires awareness and courage. You have to observe actions more than words. You have to notice whether people disappear when you need guidance, whether their celebration is conditional, or whether they resent the effort and discipline that brought you success. You must create a mental and emotional filter that allows you to internalize support while rejecting negativity, masquerading as praise. This is not cynicism, it's vigilance. It's the recognition that your growth is too valuable to be left in the hands of anyone who is not fully aligned with your intentions. Once you start identifying genuine allies, the transformation is remarkable. You'll find yourself making decisions with more confidence, moving faster toward your goals, and shedding the unnecessary weight of hidden opposition. Your energy no longer dissipates in deciphering motives or defending your actions. Instead, it flows directly into your growth and ambition. Understanding that not everyone who applauds you is invested in your success teaches a fundamental lesson. Protect your inner circle, value those who elevate you, and distance yourself from those who cheer only when it suits them. Your victories belong to you, and only the right people will truly celebrate them without reservation. If you want to grow, you need people around you who challenge you, who push you beyond what you think is possible. Iron sharpens iron, but mediocrity dulls it. There's a natural human tendency to settle into comfort, to surround ourselves with people who validate our existing habits and perspectives. It feels safe, familiar, and easy, but comfort is the enemy of growth, and mediocrity is the enemy of excellence. If you are the smartest, strongest, or most disciplined person in your circle, no matter how talented or motivated you are, the people around you will eventually slow your progress. Their limitations become your boundaries, and their complacency becomes a subtle, constant drag on your energy and ambition. The power of having the right people around you is in the tension they create. They push you to think harder, act faster, and raise your standards. When you're challenged, you discover strengths you didn't know existed. You learn to adapt, to endure, and to rise above what you once believed were your limits. That's why the right circle is never just a support system. It's a forge. It is where your potential is tested, sharpened, and transformed into something greater. Without that friction, without those challenges, your skills and mindset begin to dull. You start accepting easier paths, making compromises that slow your growth, and rationalizing mediocrity as enough. Finding people who sharpen you isn't always easy. It requires courage to seek out those who are better, stronger, and more disciplined than you. It demands humility to accept guidance and correction without taking it personally. And it requires discernment, because not everyone who appears strong is capable of elevating you. True sharpeners bring constructive challenge, not intimidation or competition. They inspire excellence through accountability, example, and unwavering commitment to growth. Being around such people feels intense sometimes, uncomfortable even, because they refuse to let you stay stagnant. But that intensity is precisely what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. The consequences of staying in a circle of mediocrity are subtle but profound. Over time, your ambition wanes, your standards lower, and your confidence begins to mimic those around you. You may still work hard, but without the right challenge, your potential never reaches its peak. You become the smartest or strongest in your immediate environment, but that is a dangerous position because it masks the truth. You are no longer being tested. Growth requires tension, and tension requires others who are willing and able to push you. Without it, the spark that drives progress dims slowly, almost imperceptibly, until the person you are capable of becoming is left behind. Surrounding yourself with people who sharpen you changes everything. Your ideas grow bolder, your work ethic intensifies, and your resilience strengthens. Every interaction becomes a lesson, every conversation an opportunity to elevate your thinking. You start to notice that growth is no longer just about personal effort, it's about alignment, being in the presence of people who hold themselves and you to higher standards. And when you embrace this principle fully, mediocrity loses its grip. You stop settling for less, stop accepting comfort as enough, and begin to experience the exponential impact of being surrounded by those who refuse to let you dull. Growth, excellence, and success become inevitable because your circle is no longer a reflection of what is easy, but a reflection of what is possible. Protect your peace like it's currency, because in reality, it is. Peace is not a luxury. It's a form of wealth that determines your clarity, your decisions, and the energy you bring to every aspect of your life. Every interaction, every relationship, every moment spent with someone who drains your energy is a withdrawal from that account. Negative people act like emotional debt collectors. They demand attention, patience, and energy, often without giving anything in return. They complain, criticize, manipulate, or provoke, and if you allow them unchecked access to your mind and emotions, you will find yourself exhausted, frustrated, and distracted from your purpose. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it is strategic. It is the act of safeguarding your most valuable resource, your ability to think, act, and grow without interference. Most people underestimate how much their environment and relationships impact their mental and emotional state. You might think you can endure negativity, that you can rise above it. But energy is not just physical, it's cumulative. Constant exposure to pessimism, cynicism, or judgment slowly chips away at confidence and focus. It seeps into decisions and habits, shaping outcomes in ways that are difficult to recognize until it's too late. The people who drain you are not necessarily malicious. They may simply be struggling with their own limitations, insecurities, or frustrations. But good intentions do not mitigate impact. Your peace is finite, and if you spend it recklessly, you compromise your ability to show up fully for your goals, your loved ones, and yourself. Setting boundaries is the most practical way to protect your peace. Boundaries do not have to be dramatic or confrontational, but they must be firm. It can mean limiting time spent with people who consistently bring negativity, refusing to engage in toxic conversations, or disengaging from environments that pull your focus from growth. It might also involve saying no to commitments, opportunities, or relationships that do not serve your well-being. Boundaries are a declaration that your peace is non-negotiable, that your energy is too valuable to be misused, and that you will not allow others to dictate your emotional state. Protecting your peace also means being intentional about who you invite into your life. Surround yourself with people who uplift, inspire, and challenge you in ways that elevate your mind and spirit. Spend time with those who add value, bring positivity, and encourage growth, rather than those who drain or diminish your potential. Evaluate every relationship and interaction through the lens of its impact on your energy. Ask yourself, does this person make me stronger or weaker? More focused or more scattered? Happier or more anxious? The answers guide you in curating a circle that reinforces your peace rather than eroding it. Finally, protecting your peace is an ongoing practice. Life will always present situations and people that test your boundaries, provoke frustration, or threaten your calm. The difference lies in how consistently and consciously you guard your emotional and mental space. When you treat peace like currency, every decision becomes an investment in your growth, your focus, and your resilience. You no longer give away energy carelessly. You recognize its value, defend it fiercely, and nurture it diligently. In doing so, you create an environment where clarity, purpose, and momentum are inevitable, and negativity, no matter how persistent, cannot claim what you have refused to spend unwisely. The right people challenge you, not comfort you. It's a lesson most of us have to learn the hard way, because we are naturally drawn to people who make us feel good, who agree with our ideas, and who affirm our choices without question. Comfort is easy, and validation is addictive, but neither of them helps you grow. True allies don't simply echo your thoughts or pat you on the back. They hold you accountable. They tell you the truth even when it stings, push you to confront your weaknesses, and challenge you to rise above the limitations you set for yourself. Their support is not passive, it's active, deliberate, and sometimes uncomfortable because it is rooted in belief in your potential. Growth never happens in a vacuum. When people around you challenge you, they force you to think differently, to stretch your limits, and to confront the parts of yourself you may prefer to ignore. They ask questions that demand clarity and honesty. They critique in ways that demand better performance and higher standards. The right challenge is never about ego or competition. It's about helping you reach the level you are capable of reaching. It is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also transformative. Without these kinds of people, it is easy to settle for less than you deserve, to rationalize mediocrity, and to grow complacent in the safety of agreement. The right allies also hold you accountable to your values, not just your goals. They notice when your actions are inconsistent with your intentions. They question decisions that compromise your integrity or derail your long-term vision. Accountability from the right people is not judgment. It is guidance that keeps you aligned with the person you aspire to be. These individuals are mirrors reflecting both your strengths and blind spots. They see what you cannot see in yourself and provide the feedback necessary to course correct before small missteps become major setbacks. Being challenged by the right people also strengthens resilience. When you are comfortable, setbacks feel devastating because you have never been tested. When you are challenged, you learn to navigate difficulty with composure, problem solving, and grit. You develop the confidence to stand firm in your convictions, make hard choices, and take risks because you have been guided to understand your own capabilities. The challenges they present are not obstacles designed to discourage you. They are opportunities to prove to yourself what you are truly capable of achieving. It is equally important to recognize the difference between constructive challenge and destructive criticism. The right people do not tear you down. They lift you higher through honest feedback and thoughtful provocation. They ask you to stretch, to question, and to evolve, but always with respect and the intent to see you succeed. They become partners in your growth, not enforcers of insecurity. By surrounding yourself with such allies, you create an environment where comfort is never confused with progress. You learn to embrace discomfort as a sign of growth and accountability as a form of support. When you allow the right people to challenge you, your thinking expands, your habits improve, and your potential becomes visible. You no longer rely on fleeting motivation or superficial encouragement because you have built a network that actively drives your evolution. The right people do not make life easier. They make life meaningful, purposeful, and transformative. Their challenges shape your character, sharpen your focus, and ignite your drive. Growth becomes inevitable because the company you keep refuses to let you settle for anything less than your best. Build a circle that reflects your future, not your past. It's one of the hardest lessons to learn because human beings are naturally sentimental. We hold on to relationships, friendships, and connections out of history, comfort, or habit, even when those same connections no longer serve the person we are becoming. The problem is, your past is not your blueprint. It's a collection of experiences, some valuable, some limiting, but none of them should define where you go next. Your growth depends on aligning with people who reflect your vision, your ambitions, and the person you are striving to become, not who you once were. Clinging to people out of nostalgia often keeps you small without you even realizing it. You tolerate energy that no longer nourishes you because it feels familiar. You justify relationships that drain you because of history or loyalty. You accept advice or opinions from those who are no longer on the same trajectory as you, because letting go feels like betrayal. But growth requires that we become uncomfortable with what no longer serves us. To honor your potential, you must make room for relationships that elevate you and release those that hold you in the past. The people you keep around you should embody the standards, ambition, and integrity you aspire to, not the comfort or limitations you've known. Building a future-oriented circle requires intention. You must evaluate every relationship through the lens of your goals, values, and vision. Ask yourself, does this person inspire me to be better, push me to grow, and challenge me to think bigger? Or do they anchor me to habits, fears, and limitations that no longer align with who I want to become? The answers are rarely easy. Some people you love, respect, or admire may not belong in your future, and that requires courage to accept. But the courage to make these choices is the same courage that transforms ambition into reality. Surrounding yourself with people who reflect your future multiplies your potential exponentially because every interaction becomes an opportunity to grow, learn, and elevate your thinking. It's not just about the people who are present, it's also about the influence of the absent. By letting go of relationships that tether you to the past, you remove the weight of expectations, judgments, and outdated patterns. You free yourself from cycles of comparison, resentment, or stagnation. When your circle mirrors your future, you create an environment where progress is natural, energy flows freely, and focus is sharpened. The people you choose to invest in will challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable in ways that align perfectly with the life you are building. This principle also transforms how you approach new relationships. You become intentional about who you let in, recognizing that every person has the potential to either elevate or diminish your trajectory. You prioritize alignment over familiarity, vision over comfort, and growth over nostalgia. You stop seeking validation from people who cannot see your future and start surrounding yourself with those who reflect the standards, ambition, and possibilities you are reaching for. In the end, building a circle that reflects your future is about becoming deliberate with your energy, your attention, and your loyalty. It is about recognizing that the people around you are the mirror of your potential, the scaffolding of your ambition, and the ecosystem in which your dreams will either thrive or wither. By choosing relationships that align with your future, rather than clinging to those tied to your past, you create a life of purpose, momentum, and unstoppable growth, where your vision is no longer limited by who you used to be, but empowered by who you are becoming.